Rightio, and welcome to this lesson on creating the part stock. So what we're going to do is open up our documents there, and if I navigate to where we downloaded and save them, my projects, Toolmaker's clamp, and I'm going to open the Toolmaker's clamp part 1 here. Rightio, so I've got this component, it's already modeled up there. This part has got, works as multiple parts, so it's actually got multiple configurations. So if we go to the configurations, here you'll actually see there's a left arm and a right arm. So I can actually click on either of those and it will change its configuration, and it's only the holes that really do change this component. So configurations do lead to well to this. We're going to focus on the left, or the threaded arm, for this component that we're going to machine up first up there. So that's that side of it there. So that's why these other holes are grayed out or suppressed on that side. And let's get started by making the stock material. So what we can do inside SolidWorks, SolidCAM, is define the stock material before we actually get started in the CAM side of things there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the top plane there. I just know that the component was modeled on that top plane, and I'm going to create a sketch on that plane. Now, I don't know if this datum, my origin here, is in the middle of this component. So I do want this stock material to be 25 by 25 by 120, which is 5 mil longer than it needs to be, and 8 mil longer in width and height there. So what we're going to do is we'll start with a rectangle, and I'm just going to create a rectangle out here. So this is 25 and 120. I've added those. And I want this now to be locked in, so it's in the middle of this component. And my favorite tool is the center line or construction line. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to snap it to the midpoint of the sketch and then the midpoint of the component. I can keep this going. I'm just going to click on there and gain midpoint of the component. Then hit the escape key there. I want this line to be, click on the line, I want that to be horizontal. Now I don't need to make the other one because they're all now snapping to midpoints. That's going to make them there. What I do want to do, I'm just going to drag these out so they're not in the way. I'm going to click on that line, hold down the control key, and I don't want the center point. Try that again. Be quicker. Select, hold down the control key, and select the line, not the midpoint there. I want these two outer sketched lines to be equal. And now that locks it in the middle of that component there on that side. Now, I'm going to go to my features, and we're going to go extrude. Now, there's a couple of little things that we need to follow here first there. Now, I want this to be 25 millimeters. Now, because the way this is sketched, I want this is just going to put 25 mil up. But what I can do with the sketch is we can do an offset. Now I'm going to offset the sketch. So instead of the sketch still going to remain on that top plane, I'm going to offset it from that plane. Now I want this component to be held by that 5 mil. There's a 5 mil step on our machine jaws there. So it's going to hold on to 5 mil. But I also want 1 mil fudge factor so that we don't machine our vise there. So I'm going to make it 6 mil. And by default, it just offsets it the wrong way. So it's lifting it up. I'm going to flip this so then it brings it down. So this component or the stock material is now not so much in the center, but it's where I want it to be in relation to where the component is actually going to physically sit as we machine this out there. Now, the last thing we need to do with this is to uncheck this box, merge result. Now, this is a bit of an advanced feature inside SolidWorks, having multiple bodies, and that's basically what we're going to create. We're going to have a solid body, but we don't want it to merge with the other body. All we're going to do is just create a great big box, and we lose all of our information there. But by the beauty of that, having two separate bodies means that SolidCAM, when we bring the part into there, we can actually reference the two different components there. So I'm going to click the tick on that, and that's now added that boss. There. One thing I did forget, I'm just going to edit the feature. Because we're dealing with configurations, one thing I just need to double check, double tap, is make sure all configurations was checked. Because I want this stock material in both the default, the left arm and the right arm there. So make sure that that was checked there. So now that that is there, but now I can't see my component, I'm going to right click on this feature in the feature tree, and I'm going to change transparency. This now allows me to be able to see my component inside there. Now, another good practice to get it in the habit of is naming your features. Now, I am not always the best at doing this. I've got a sketch up there, hold position, so now I know that sketch is doing that. But this particular feature is our stock material. So I'm going to actually rename it stock material. And there's R2D2 interrupting my videos. He is so in trouble. Rightio, so stock material there. So I've got that now created, and I'm going to hit the save icon up here, and that gets rid of my little asterisk that was there. There. Rightio, now that I've got my stock ready and my part ready, we can delve into it. But one last thing I want to do is to prep a work holding device there. And that's the other file that I got you to download from Blackboard. So I'm going to open device, fixture 1. The reason why I've only given you one, and I need two, because once we machine this component there, we're going to have a second operation. And so at the moment it is, and if I look at this, I've got my base and I've got my jaws. So the way in which I've modeled this very simply, very quickly, and I want it as minimum amount of features as possible there. I do have, and I'll just quickly open it. Here's the full Girardi vise. So these are the vices that are actually on our machines there, and it's fully modeled. Every nut, bolt and screw is there for you to look at. Even the thread has been modeled. If you want to see your computer have a heart attack, insert this into your machine as a work holding device. And not only that, we'll have two of them, because for the first op and the second op, you will give your computer an absolute coronary there. So we're not going to use this here. I've learned to just keep it simple. All we want is to be able to identify if there's any crashes, collisions with our work holding device. So I've made this as simple as possible. So it's only usually around there. If we get into 5-axis, that's when we start really wanting to model up everything to the nth degree and making sure there's no collisions in that side of things. But for simplicity of 2.5D machining, this will be suffice there. So if I look at my jaws, you can see here, I'll just go Control 2 to look at it from the back here. I've got it set to 25mm wide, so first off, it's going to be 25mm, holding on to the stock material, and the standard 5mm step there. What I want to do now is I'm just going to change this dimension to 17. So in the second operation, it's going to now be 17mm wide. So when it holds, we've machined it all away, it will be there. Rightio. So now that that is done, I don't want to hit the save icon. What I want to do is click on save as, and instead of saving it as number 1, let's make it number 2. How original. So now we've got our vice fixture 1, 25mm, and vice fixture 2 there for our second operation there. I'm going to close this down because I don't need it open for the actual process, but in the next video we'll go through setting up the component ready for doing our that thing that's eluded me, setting up the component in SolidWorks, SolidCam. I did want to break this video up into 2, didn't I? I think so. Anyway, catch us later.